am. And now I'm live. Let's see. And I have text from my dad. I couldn't find the sign on in LinkedIn this morning.
Oh, no.
I don't know.
Hello. Oh, we need a join us link if you want people to be able to come in and hang out with us.
Oh, yeah, I didn't do that.
Hello, parents. Welcome to the
Hello.
Backpack Show. We're going to talk about my 3 words. I mean, yes, mine, but not just mine. We'll talk about your 3 words if you want. The goal setting exercise for 2022. Hola, coach. How do you
Yeah, look who's
pronounce
here.
that? You'll have to come in just so you can tell me how to pronounce that.
G,
No, because it's in Mexico, so the J would be pronounced differently.
like a y.
I mean, maybe not so throaty. I don't know.
I don't know.
That's my guess.
Here's how I'd pronounce it.
Hi, everyone. Tim Kitzrow from NBA Jam and NFL Blitz, welcoming you to The Backpack Show. Your hosts, Chris Brogan, Kerry Gargone, Boom Shakalaka.
Backpack Show.
Carol in Canada says it's a hick. Hello, Annette.
Hey.
And Jane. Oh, there we go. Ahihik.
Ahihik. Okay, so join us.
Thank you, Coach Woodard.
Supposedly.
Hello, Raul.
Wow, the whole gang.
Cody. So it has been suggested to me that now my tattoo leveling on each is uneven.
I mean, for people who've seen, that you have tattoos, I mean, maybe, I don't know. So
that now I need to work on my other arm. So that it's not one of my words for 2022, but I guess I'll have to work that in there. Oh, Bob has a question right out of the gate. Can I reuse one of my words from last year to this year? All right. I feel like we have to indoctrinate anybody who's new and then invite you to join us in the studio. So do we have a join us link ready?
SteveBrogan.me/join us. It's ready.
Okay.
First
so
time
Michael
caller,
says, and your dad says good morning to everyone.
From LinkedIn as well.
Your
Hello,
biological father.
My biological father, Steve Brogan.
So if you'd like to come into the studio with us and talk about your 3 words or coming up with them or what they are, cbrogan.me/join us. You can come in right now, be camera ready. I mean, like, sound good. And then we'll talk about your 3 words. Okay, sound okay. That's all. We just need to be able to understand you.
Right. From a distance.
So 3 words. You've been doing it since what, 2006?
2006 was the first time I did my 3 words. The idea was that resolutions almost always fail right on or about January 19th. Who knew?
Hey, I would jettison any kind of resolution on that day.
That's right. So, cake's available. But January 19th is when most people give up their time. So here's the deal. When people looked to this idea of my 3 words, when I came up with it in 2006 anyway, I'm sure other people have had it in the past. The idea was very simple. Take 3 words and use them to kind of triangulate how you're going to achieve the goals you want to achieve or attain in the year ahead. So the words are meant to guide you towards actions you will take. And the words are meant to guide you into an identity that you will possess that will hopefully put you towards what you're hoping to do. So, for instance, the very first year I did it, I did ask, do, and share. And the idea was that I would ask a lot of questions. I would do a lot of things based on the feedback of those questions, and I would share my information. So I would share kind of what I got out of the deal. So as years have gone on, I've done it a whole bunch, and I've invited more and more people to come and do my 3 words. And so it is a scenario where the people who participate tend to find some value in it. Some people get great value, some people don't. And I'll walk you through the whole storyline so that you understand how to choose 3 words. And I don't know, Kerry, you probably know enough to do it even. So I'd be curious to know, like, what, you've watched the webinars a bunch of times. You've seen the process in the distance. How would you explain my 3 words to people?
Well, the way you just did. No, I feel like, so a lot of people will ask, what's the difference between 3 words and a resolution, or 3 words and 1 word, or 4 words, or 6 words? And the difference between a resolution and my 3 words is that the resolution is one specific thing. Ideally, usually it's not super well framed and it's not specific enough to be helpful anyway, but then it's just one thing, and then you do it or don't do it, and you kind of drift in my experience, for the rest of the year, from thing to thing, thinking about what you'd like to do. The words are like guiding principles, not necessarily specific actions to take, but they help you decide which actions to take and which opportunities to jump on and which to say, no, thanks.
And never a phrase. So, for instance, Joseph put good riddance 2021. Phrases don't tend to work very well because they sort of waste some of the words in the process. If it's sort of like, be the best, that's not going to be a very good choice of 3 words because the is not an especially useful word. And, be is just part of the business. So
why not 4 or 5 or 6?
So people say this one to me all the time, well, I have 4 words. I'm like, fine. I don't know. I picked 3. And then the other times people will say, I have 5. And I say, you could pick whatever you want to pick. But what you have to realize is that, the way it's worked so far for me is my 3 words. I made it connect up with people. A lot of people have responded back that they felt like it works very useful. And so that's great. Okay, so here's a few other things that people have done and not done that have worked and not worked. When anytime somebody says they want to reuse a word from the year before, it never works for them. They always say to me, midway through the year, it just sputtered out. I regret wasting that word because, I was done by February or so, and I had stopped thinking about that word because I thought about it so much the year before. What happens in your brain is, even things we want to try to remember every single day get a little tricky. They get a little tricky to keep going. So repeating words tends not to work rather well. Certain words tend not to work rather well. Almost anyone who picks focus tells me they regret it after the fact. I don't know why. It's just a word that for some reason people have a little challenge with. So I figured, hey, it's Steve Garfield from stevegarfield.com.
The one, the only. Come hang out with us.
Oh, hi, Kerry, because it's on Facebook. I was like, hi to you, Garfield.
Oh, you hush.
So
some people like me.
A lot of people like you. Let's bring our friend Raul on and see what he's thinking about. He's done it, I think, a dozen or so years. So, Raul, has it been about 12 years?
Yes, it's going to be my 12th year this year.
Wow. What were some of your best or worst years and why? Because with regards to the 3 words.
I guess similar to what you just explained. I think the year that I think I was able to use it the most was 2020, because for some weird reason, having been through Hurricane Maria and some other issues that we had here on the island, 2020 brought us in the first few days into earthquakes, right? So I kind of put those words of dealing with uncertainty and stuff like that. And it really, when I look back, and last year when I was doing my next year, I really I was able to apply them because I didn't have a choice, right? It was more of a survival thing than anything else. But it also guided me, and that's where I helped. And I think the first few years that I did it, because I would get too stuck on the words and not the actual action, right? And I too rigid. And I think I've learned to make them more flexible, but also in a way that they're kind of measurable.
Right.
So I would say the first few years, because I was just trying it out, figuring out. But over the years, I do an exercise. In the last few days, I start writing them out maybe a month before, and just choosing words, and then choosing the ones I think are the best. But I think the whole exercise in those last few days of doing 2 things, going over all of the photos I've taken throughout the year, and kind of getting a snapshot of what I did or what I didn't. So many times we have pictures that we take or video and just sit in a hard drive or sit somewhere, we never look at them again. And I try to do that exercise. And then I also try to look back at the words and how, all the other words and how it applied each year and how it applied that recent year. So I think
that's a step I feel like a lot of people miss, Raul. A lot of people will do it and then never, they think someone's going to come and check. No one but you is checking. So you have to think about whether they worked for you and how to refine your approach for the next year. So it's great that you do that. I feel like a lot of people just let it slide and don't pick it back up.
I think we're so used to having somebody, when you think about going to school, right? It's the teacher checking, if you did something or not, or if you did the homework or not. And I think in my case, I've learned, thanks to having people like Chris and Rob Hatch in my life, that I have to keep myself accountable, right? And I have a hard time, like for example, when getting an accountability partner, because I just kind of feel it's weird that I have to go like and tell somebody what I did, what I didn't, right? I check in with Chris all the time when I have a business issue or a personal issue and some other friends, but it's not something that's kind of like calculated. I kind of do that on my own, so I think, in the world we live now, we're always expecting somebody to tell us what to do. And the irony of what's been happening the last 2 years, I always find it funny that people who don't want to be told what to do are telling other people. So that's why I try to stay away from that and keep myself accountable. Yeah.
You can see that. Hey, do you want to give us even one or so of your words that you're going to plan for 2022?
Yeah, I think, I mean, I can share all three. Can I do that?
Oh, please,
Yeah.
please.
Super. I think, right now, the one that really stuck with me is accommodate, which is kind of like, putting everything into place, because so many times we have so many things and we're looking for more. So, and I've done other years kind of like, subtract and stuff like that, and remove, and I think I'm doing a good job at that. But sometimes it's just kind of like putting things into place. So that's the main word that I'm thinking about right now. And then, the other one I'm really the other one I'm really thinking about is serve, because all my life I've been focused on serving since I was a young kid, to when I went to the military, to what I do every day, right? So but then also it's serving my clients. So sometimes making sure that I'm serving them and making sure I serve my family. And then the last one is endorse, right? Because so many times we have so many awesome people around us, or we have something that's awesome, and we just take it for granted, right? But like maybe just putting it out might help that person, and it might help other people, find something that they're looking for, right? So I'm sticking with those three words this year.
So I have one thought on serve, to your point about the fact that you've done it for so many years. One thought that maybe you think about is something like the word hire, as in higher level, because you want to serve the people that matter the most to you. So you don't want to serve everyone. You want to give your family so much more of your time. You want to give your best clients more of your time. So that was just something that floated into my head because of the fact you said you're such a person of service, and you are one of the most accommodating people I know on the planet. And so I thought maybe that would be a thing. So Bob wants you to repeat it. What were your three words one more time? Oh,
Right down
accommodate, serve, endorse. That's great. So I think that's great. I didn't see him under there because I took my glasses off. So good timing.
Joseph Jaffe says, okay, for reals, I've actually never done this before. Endurance, should it be persevere or continue? Monetize, ugly word, but important to achieve tangible success. And share with others. He's open to your feedback.
So the words are great. I think all three are good. You could sort of fuss with them a little. I mean, you can make it endure. So it's a verb. You could pick a different word for monetize, just because monetize is sort of that smelly word. I mean, you could pick it something more where you're acquiring wealth for what you do. You know what I mean? Like you can make the word bigger, because monetize, people who run events say, we're going to charge $500 for the power strip in this conference room. And that's so we can monetize the value that we're providing to you. But no one ever feels monetized. They don't feel a good value for $500 for a power strip at a conference, right? So you could think of a slightly more, a bigger, higher level word if you want for that one. But I like it. Share, I'm never going to say no to share. Share was, in my set of words for my best year ever. So.
Joseph does have a plan B. Plan B is teach, preach, and beach, which rhymes.
Yeah. I'm not going to poop on it because I actually kind of like the three. And I could see how you could utilize them the way you do what you do. I feel like you're on a journey. So I feel like, definitely give yourself a little time to think it through. But there's definitely some value to the ones that you came up with.
I know it doesn't rhyme, but I would keep share. If it was
like share for sure.
If it was me, for what my perception is of what you're trying to do, though. So it's completely based on you and what you're trying to do. Like mine wouldn't make sense to somebody else.
So an entire army is here, and they had a question. Is there a sense that verbs are better than nouns? Which is right here. So no, But I will tell you there's two different things. So verbs help us because a lot of times with the 3 words, one of the things we think is, what am I going to do? Or what do I have to do? So I use mine as part of a morning ritual. I actually write down with a pen in my nifty journal, my words every single day. And I also type them into my typed up journal. And that's because the kinesthetic effort of putting them down again reminds me to do something with them. So verbs remind us, what are we going to do? So one of my verbs is co-create, which is one of my 3 words for 2022. Co-create is part of the sentence. What kind of a day am I going to co-create with this person? Or what kind of experience do I need to co-create as I go into this meeting? So co-create. It's like my showrunner word. I just sort of used it different this year. And so that's a verb. However, my first lead off word for my 3 words, which I won't give off in this call, but it'll be tomorrow at chrisbrogan.com, is a noun, because sometimes a noun is useful for what you're intending to be. So if the B word is something, that your intention word, your noun word is something big enough that you can really hold to it, then there's some value there because you can really kind of pack some identity and some strength into it. So
mine are all nouns this year. I was trying to go back through the comments because a few people shared theirs and I wanted to pick them out.
Yeah, let's make sure we get those. And then, by the way, again, if you want to join and be nearly as handsome as Raul, you just have to go to cbrogan.me/join us to join.
cbrogan.me/join us. And I think so it looked like your biological father had some. Grow, train, help.
Or go to hell. Like it, and that helps. I mean, look, we called Owner Media Group that for a reason, and we called the Owner Media Foundation group that for a reason too. So.
Carols are nourish, sculpt, and build. So those are all verbs.
Those are great. Those are great.
Chris and
Yes,
Kerry,
sir.
I have a question. Because initially when I got the grasp of this was not doing resolutions, and there's many explanations on Chris's blog of why you choose 3 words instead of resolutions. If you had like one sentence to describe it to somebody who wasn't aware of it, or 2, which would it be? What was
3 words that guide your actions to match your goals for the coming year. 3 words to guide your actions to match your goals for the coming years. Words, goals, actions, years. That's how. Coming year. Sorry, singular. Just year.
Annette says momentum came with my 3 words in 2020 and has grown from there. 2020 was perspective, purpose, courage. 2021, practice, worldview, and ripple. So what's 2022, Annette? You should come and tell us.
Those are big.
cbrogan.me/join us. I've chosen all 3, but it took me a long time. I didn't even think about it until kind of the last minute, which is sort of uncharacteristic for me. But yeah, I was not feeling it this year.
And again, if you want to come and join us, cbrogan.me/join us. I'm going to play a really quick audio file because I have no reason not to. Hang on one second. Do this. Did you guys see this one yet already? This has nothing to do with anything.
Oh, you're going to get copyright stricken. Clarinet. It's funny, I've seen the accordion at so many events, but a clarinet, I was like, whoa.
It's like klezmer music.
He said he wandered very far over land and sea. And then one magic day, he passed my way. And now we spoke of many things, fools and games. This he said to me. I like this one. Ooh,
cavalcade. Roll. Your dad wants the link.
I'll send it to you later, Mr. Brogan.
Linda says, I'm going with just one word as my theme for 2022, and that's joy.
People do it. People do some joys.
Coach Woodard says, reframe, algorithms, and wayfinding. I just wanted to call out people who are putting their words in the chat.
Love them. I love them. Klezmer music, by the way. That's what that's called. 3 words from 2021 says Steve Garfield, do, love, and forward, based on a quote. The 3 grand essentials of happiness are something to do, someone to love, and something to hope for.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I like it. I like it. I like it.
Everybody wants something.
Joining us now is our good friend Annette. Hello.
No, we will not do it again, Joseph.
I've only played that video about 41 times so far.
Don't encourage him because he will do it.
I know. Have you ever seen me play the Backpack Show After Dark theme? So, Annette, 2022. Now, I have a bias because I already have received an email from you. So, hey, pretend I haven't. What are you thinking about for 2022? What's on your mind?
What's on my mind is journey, cultivate, and integrate.
And
Those
are pretty good ones.
You stop playing with that thing. I'm going to come over there and talk to you.
Journey, cultivate, and integrate. I love them all. Which one was the hardest to pick?
Cultivate.
Interesting.
Cultivate.
What does it have to mean for you?
It means to foster and deepen relationships that matter.
That's important. That's a super important one. I want to go into that a tiny bit, but I forgot that I had to do something. So sit with me for just a second. Because we're sponsored by Castos.com. Hey, want an audio podcast? Get one. They're not that expensive these days. You can make one super fast, super cheap. Castos.com. Our friend Matt Medeiros runs a place over there. I don't know if he does. I think
it's really easy to use.
He's like third in command. Matt Medeiros is really easy to use. Hey, want a .online domain?
You're such a smart aleck.
Oh, want a .online domain? You can get one. cbrogan.me.online.
Use the code Chris, all caps.
Right. You could get Raul.online. Who would know? Hey, does anybody want to make your own StreamYard show? Hey, you could do it. cbrogan.me/StreamYard. Get your own Mallard. They're not in my house anymore. And back on the sponsorship slot, presearch.com. If you don't like Google, and who does, you can get your searching done through Presearch. Stick it to the man. You can use search based on cryptocurrency and all kinds of other things. This is a whole new way to protect your privacy and end the search monopoly once and for all. Presearch.com.
Find search engine as it happens.
Mm-hmm. There we go. We did it.
So come join us in the studio, cbrogan.me/join us so we can talk about your 3 words. Now, let's unpack Annette's a little bit.
Yeah.
We're like, thanks, ads.
Got to do things. So the journey, where are you headed? And can I stop believing?
Yeah, well, journey's really being tested. And I like what Raul had to say about 2020 and the guidance. So right now I'm supposed to be airborne, arriving in Nairobi right before midnight, and Omicron got us. So here we sit. So it's a metaphorical journey. And that's what I love about the word journey, is that we can use it so many different ways, and it can help ground us through the turbulence. So I think that was what was so powerful about having those words in 2020. It really was kind of guidance, and it's great because things are anything but smooth. Life's just not that way.
I think about them sort of like the Constitution, how it was written to be purposely very broad, so it could cover a lot of things that they didn't anticipate. And I'm like, the 3 words have to be flexible too, like flexible enough for it to still work when the whole world turns upside down.
Yeah. No. And it's been really powerful to see it amplify. in the writing community. So I had posted about this methodology, and people are like, "Wow, this is really cool." So I'm waiting to see what happens for others in 2022 with this.
So I just saw Independence, Earn, and Freedom from Elizabeth. Those are swell. Now, all the way from Central Maine, friend of mine since 6th grade. Here's Leslie. Hi, Leslie.
Good morning.
Welcome on board. What have you been thinking about with regards to your 3 words?
I've never done this before, so this is kind of cool for me.
Live.
Just my first word is sleep. How's that?
That could be a good word.
I don't seem to get enough of that lately. It seemed like to start with,
So sleep. I feel like that's going to be an easy one.
Just one of those things.
Well, not if she's saying she can't get a lot of sleep. So maybe getting more sleep is a challenge. That's interesting to think about, really.
Yeah, I think that would probably. Definitely, I think in 2022 it'd be nice to laugh a whole lot more. Doesn't seem like 2021 was good for a lot of that. So laughter would definitely be up there. And I don't know. I would say something like play. I mean, I like to go and try things I've never done before. I like to do adventurous things. I've told you about a few of those that I've done. And so I think I'd probably like to keep that going. There's more things I'd like to do. Get out in my little car and hit the road and see what happens.
Fun.
So, yeah. Those sound like pretty good words.
I'll take them.
Yeah.
Mojo said I had Live, Laugh, Love is mine a few years ago. Indeed. And as has so many white women with wine in their kitchen. But yeah.
Oh my God. Racist much?
Totally true. Yeah, I know.
You don't know
Leslie
me.
has vodka instead.
Bob Collins says, create material that inspires me and comes from deep within. Care, self-care as much as empathy and support for others. And focus/execute. You've got a slash. I don't know if that's allowed. Less dreaming and create routine of daily execution.
Yes. I would even consider making that one, the last one, like publish or something. Just something, like the old, or ship, like Seth Godin used to say. The verb to ship, because I'm still waiting for Bob Collins' podcast very eagerly. I set up the podcast app, and there's I have 0 subs to any other podcasts. I'm just waiting.
Ouch. Sorry. So I came up with all 3 of mine, and one of them relates to one of Bob's. So I'm just going to throw them.
I'm ready. Pop them on that screen.
Okay. Fire, Mockingbird, and Wellspring. And fire is like, how they say forest fires occasionally are actually an important part of growth. Like you've got to get rid of stuff to make room for new growth. So that's because I feel like I lost a lot of people in the last couple of years. So I'm viewing this whole experience as like, okay, it's the fire came and now it's time for new growth. And Mockingbird, so that's for work, so that I can start to think about at AppFire, we support, we have in the AppFire family like hundreds of apps, and it's tough. You're not going to be master of all of them. So I want to learn the language enough to create valuable content in concert with those who understand it better. So it's Mockingbird. And then Wellspring is really in relation to what Bob said, like finding the spot within to create and heal. So that's what Wellspring is. And this picture, which is not the one I'm using, like when I tweet, I'm not going to use this, but this is from one of the Stephen King books called Lisey's Story. And this is it's not fiction. It's not fictional. It's real. It's like a special mythical kind of place. It's like a wellspring. So that's why that's in there. Anyway.
With a graphic, no less. Now, you've been doing graphics for a while because you had yours on your phone, I think it was, for the last couple of years, right?
I do still, yeah. Hold on. Let me see if I can get it to the right
Carol
screen
and I
where
were
you
trying
can
to
read
bully
it.
some woman into putting it on her phone yesterday.
No, I do. I keep it there. Now, what I haven't done is write it the way that you write yours. So I was thinking this might be the year that I write them every day, because I haven't done that. And you're right. When you see something every day, you sort of don't see it anymore. Same reason they started making the McDonald's white. Do you remember that? When like all of a sudden the McDonald's were white and you're like, what the hell? It was because people stopped noticing them, the brown and the yellow. they sort of blended.
It's also why they change branding in general and companies that are doing so well in general, because, we kind of get mental blind to it. So our bullying worked. That's great. Technology grow and stride, says Suze. I got to know a little bit more. I'm going to bully Suze in a second. What does technology mean in this case? Grow and stride, I can accept. But what's technology mean? I need to know what that one means.
I'll allow it. Yeah. Government will stipulate. You should come in and tell us what it means. cbrogan.me/join us.
Come on in, Suze. Suze is even more north than Leslie. Raul's my southern tip, and Suze is the even north of Leslie.
Really?
And yep, Canada, they call it. America's hat.
Heard of that.
So do you ever change words like mid-year?
Thank you for asking that important question. No, rather once ever I did, and it failed me badly. If you change, okay. I wear a burqa. So one time I did it, and it didn't do very well for me. In fact, the whole year was just kind of a falter. Like I don't remember looking at or thinking about my 3 words much for that. Raul, have you ever changed any of yours?
No, I haven't, because I've heard you before say not to do it. So I just,
don't do it.
Yeah, no, and the year goes by so quickly, that when you look at it, it's just on top. Again, you're kind of getting ready for the next one, right? Yesterday was funny because last year I bought my nephew Disney Plus, right? And all of a sudden my brother's asking me like, "Hey, did you cancel Disney Plus?" And I'm like, "No, but I sent a gift and I have no way." But that's an example of how quickly he was having issues with it, and in a matter of nothing, So I think for that reason, I don't think I would have the time to sit and change one right now. And based on your advice, I wouldn't.
Look, someone listens to you.
There we go. I feel so important now. Poor Annette's not in Nairobi, and Raul listens. What a day! It's mixed blessings. Mixed blessings. Technology.
How did you come to that conclusion? So it was just that one time that you did, and you were like, not doing that again. I just
failed, and I didn't want to do it again. I think too that there's some power to making something work. I think there's some power to kind of like edging something along. However, that goes like against probably my most famous quote. So I don't know.
The one that you hate about not finishing crappy books.
That's right.
And blah blah blah, and leave the restaurant and stuff.
Technology.
Technology. I make my living using tech, and this year I want to learn to be more efficient with my tech. It will help me with the other 2 words, grow and stride. So it's like a tool then.
So more like streamline, perhaps, because it might get you to the spot that you're aiming at. Just a thought.
Oh, they're having a little bit of a discussion about America in comments. America and Canada.
America's hat.
Making themselves, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Suze knows the counter to it is that we're Canada's pants.
That's a fair. So create, care, and ship, says Bob.
I like them, Bob. I like them.
Maybe streamline, says Susan. So
I feel like we're working on Bob Farnham and Chip still. I don't think we have them nailed down.
Bob Farnham is going to do whatever he wants to do. I think
that's true. Hey, I want to. This is not directly related to my 3 words, but it is related to the way you aim yourself this coming year. We always talk about books. We talk about what books should we read, what books shouldn't we read, blah 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 blah. One thing I really want to do is in this coming year, be a little bit more mindful with what you're going to do with books. So for instance, one book that I read 4 times in 2021, and I will continue reading more times in 2022 is Karma by this guy, Sadhguru. Karma is, first and foremost, it's not about what you think karma is. Karma is not that, be good or something bad will happen back to you. In fact, he's got a really hilarious bit in here about, he goes, do you think that's what God would want? Do you think God wants to sit up there with like a stupid abacus all day counting your good and bad choices? Like he goes, that'd be the worst job ever. The whole premise of karma, though, is that you guide yourself towards where you say you're going, and then you align everything to that. So, for example, this is a term called sadhana. By the way, like I said, the guy who made this, his name is Sadhguru. Sad actually just means unknowing or unintelligent. So he calls himself like a stupid guru. So sadhana means if you want to be self-propelled, it's important to start by fixing your intention. That's the magical word in this entire book. Make your intention as all-encompassing as you can. Start with a simple resolve. By the way, here's his version of a simple resolve. Decide to be a mother to the world. That means seeing everyone as your own. There is no one who is not part of your clan. When you walk down the street, are you capable of looking upon everyone with the same sweetness of emotion that arises within you when you see your child coming home from school? This intention alone could liberate you from much agitation and negativity, and you could have a tremendous impact on how you craft your destiny. This is what karma ends up meaning. If you are conscious every moment that everything and everyone on this planet is yours, you don't need any laws to tell you what you shall and shall not do, because you've changed your fundamental identity. Your karmic boundaries now fall away, and you experience a sense of boundlessness. A new identity of inclusiveness and involvement is born. So that's when you decide you're going to be the mother of the world. Not of dragons. Don't be weird.
So Elizabeth
It's
says,
kind of like the
thank you.
idea of smile at somebody.
Smile at somebody's what?
Smile at somebody first.
Oh. I like
Oh
that
yeah,
one
they
too.
taught us
You know,
that
you
at my
walk down
first
the street,
job.
people are crabby. People are always in bad moods sometimes. Sometimes all it takes is someone to smile at them first.
If someone comes in without a smile, give them one of yours.
Oh, yes.
It's
That's what they taught us at the bakery. And I would be all smiles out front.
Happy birthday to Annette.
And then
Happy
we'd go out back.
birthday to Annette. Happy birthday, dear Annette. Happy
Happy
birthday
birthday
to you. Hooray.
Thank you. What a
Yeah, she
day.
tried to keep that like in the back end. We got a private chat mentioning her birthday, and I'm like, what?
Well, we're not going to keep that quiet.
Mm-mm. We should have had cake.
Remember to smile. I love cake, except
I
when people
know.
mail it to me, and then I'm like, I have all these neighbors who lose their mind.
Oh, because you're like gone or something?
Yeah. So, the concept about the book was just, so this is a book that I read sort of like a Bible. I read this book because there's some really major pieces in this that I need to understand. To add to that, I'm planning also, I just bought The High Five Habit by Mel Robbins. And so this goes with this book. This is heading in a direction. This is that whole manifesting thing, but now it's being covered by a bunch of people that I kind of am into. Now, the other thing is that I just got sent to me in the mail Donald Miller's new book, Hero on a Mission, which comes out on the 11th. Well, this book feels like it goes with these books, it turns out. So I'm going in a direction with my books. The thing
Can I see that cover again? I have to see
Hero
the
on a
cover.
Mission?
Yeah, because look, this is a different book that has like a very similar cover. We're going to be interviewing this author later. That's so funny.
Oh, so that one has a
I guess we know what the trendy colors are for 2022 book covers.
blue with a little yellow and white.
Yep.
So the idea that I want to pass on about reading is, don't read just because other people are reading books that they say are kind of interesting. Read a book that puts you in a direction of your 3 words. Put everything in the same journey path. Put everything in the same sense that you're. By the way, journey. Put things in the sense that you're going to head towards a direction with them. And even if it's the wrong direction, it's a year, right? Like you can guide yourself through a year. Now that doesn't mean only read a couple of books a year. Everyone who's known me for long enough knows I tried that once, reading only 3 books in a year. I failed.
You chose differently.
Chris, but you can do completing 3 books, completing 3 good books in a year.
That's true. I like that idea.
You could write 1 book.
I condensed everyone's words in one place if you want to review. Oh, that's kind of fun.
Sure. I think it'd be good. Actually, you've only shared 1 word, Chris.
Do I know any? Oh, I only shared 1 word. Yeah, I only share usually 1 or 2 before tomorrow. But I will share one of the other words. This is a kind of an interesting to me because I'm curious to know how it goes. I had this idea. I've had this very powerful vision, and it comes. I don't know if I can explain it. I'm going to try my best. So when we hit obstacles of any kind, we talk to someone and they're bugging us, or we're waiting for someone, they owe us something back. We try something and we don't get the outcome we want, and we get a bad mood. Anything that could be an obstacle, anything It doesn't matter why it's an obstacle. It's just thumped us and we just had to stop. Unless it's something you could super easy pick up and just keep going and do it again, then instead I have this concept called look for the pluses. And in a way, one way to think about it would be sort of like football. If there's a bunch of people trying to block and you hit the blocking person, well, then you're going to be in trouble. But if you can kind of bounce off them and keep looking for the gaps in the space, you can keep going forward. So I'm looking for the pluses, meaning where's the advancement? Where's the advancement? So I just have the word pluses written down, which by the word took me like 800 times to realize it's P-L-U-S-E-S, not two S's. The concept, the second concept of my 3 words is pluses, because I'm going to look for every time anything bugs me, the ex is upset. Okay, got it. I'm just going to keep moving forward. The person owes me something for the board of directors meeting and it's really coming down to the wire and I'm going to have to murder somebody. Fine. But I'm also going to just keep going forward. I'm going to come back and murder them, but I will, keep going forward and kind of work on my pluses stuff. So that's my big plan as far as that goes is I'm going to use pluses as a reminder to create and generate energy through a flywheel and then to preserve the momentum of that flywheel above all else.
Gary says, I'd just like to use up all my Audible credits in 1 year. You know what? I do. And then I'm like looking at what an Audible credit costs versus what the book costs to make my decision about whether it's time to buy new credits. That's what I do.
Yeah.
You'll buy 3 more question that it comes sometimes.
I do it. Janice says I wind up being like the aunt to the world. Yeah, but you're like the fun aunt.
Yeah.
The one everybody likes.
Yeah, Chris is just a mom, It's like
just a mom.
Oh,
I'm a mother.
Chip, you just want to suck the joy out of everything. I would advise against murder, as anyone's word. Could create issues down the road. And everybody wants Gary's credits. His credits.
Oh my gosh. Well, if you want another book to pick up, this one will be good in audiobook form because it's like 800 pounds. Ray Dalio, who wrote the book Principles, he has a new book called The Changing World Order. And if you thought Principles was thick and dense and kind of hard to read, even though you all should have read it, this one's tricky.
Should.
Yeah, well, that's why I said it. Because, of course, nobody should have read it. And look, there's graphs.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
I know, Annette was thinking on my way over to Nairobi, I hope I can read a book full of graphs.
Well, now you have even more time to read books full of graphs. Instead of drafts, you get graphs. That seems like a even trade.
Instead of giraffes. Oh, wow.
Sorry, I don't get to break out my giraffe humor all that often. It's like really excited about that. So what's the point of that book overall? I mean, if you want people to read it, you have to explain why.
It's basically there are these super underlying huge world confluences between some political and economical points.
Matt says it's a bit of a slog.
If you understood Principles was, yeah. So this book, Changing World Order, is, and then some, because it actually overlays politics on top of economics. Remember that economics is called the dismal science for a reason. It is a really difficult book. I won't finish that book for sure, guaranteed. In fact, I'll just put it over by my bed and it'll be the answer to Leslie's sleep problem. 2 pages of that book and I'm good.
This is the answer to her sleep problem that it's beside your bed. Whoa, breaking news.
Awkward. Should you want a book that might help you fall asleep, that would be a great book. Where is it?
I listened to a ton of podcasts, says Gary, but I did love Dave Grohl's book.
Yes. Dave Grohl's book was incredibly good. I liked Matthew McConaughey's book more than I thought I would. Green Lights. What's anybody else's favorites for 2021 for reading? Kerry, what do you got?
Oh boy. So I was doing a lot of audiobooks, but mostly fiction and stuff, or people that we were going to have on. And so right now I'm reading Shannon McGuire's Every Heart a Doorway. It's a fiction book, and we're going to have Shannon on in February. So I'm loving that one. So is my kid, actually, which is unusual. Like my teenager doesn't like anything. Is enjoying that one. I read The Undertakers, which is the follow-up book to The Conductors by Nicole Glover, who's another author that we had on. I read The Sandman, an audiobook, The Sandman Act 2, and those are the Neil Gaiman graphic novels. But they did an amazing job converting it into an audiobook. Like, you wouldn't think so, but the cast is ridiculously good. And then I had to listen to Kerry by Stephen King because it's narrated by Sissy Spacek. And I was like, as soon as I found that out, I was like, how do you not? And I don't know. So it's I tend to do a lot of fiction in my audiobooks and not as many business books and stuff there. I do actual hardcover books, like I've still got The Psychology of Money. I finished it. It's sitting on my desk. And I read business books and other kinds of things, kind of like self-improvement books, I guess. I get hard copies. I don't know why. Anyway,
Gotcha.
that's it. That's my situation. There's no graphs in any
Raul,
of this.
any favorites for 21?
Well, right now I'm reading Profit First. And it's kind of like, it's kind of interesting because having an accounting background, and it talks about how, the financial, just how accounting doesn't really work with our human psychology. So it's pretty interesting because having spent 5 years studying accounting and then realizing how it's a struggle all these years to just keep things in check, it makes a lot of sense, especially for small business owners. And it's just pretty much how you put profit in front of things, because when we run a business, we're sort of like just running it to survive. He's just making sure it's first. And then I hadn't, like, these are like 2 books I bought, and then this is Marketing from Seth Godin. Like, I hadn't been buying physical books because it takes sometimes forever to get here. Like, especially since the pandemic started, like it would take 2 months for an item to come. So now that things are kind of back on track, these are 2 months, then I'm buying more physical books. But those two are 2 I'm gonna work on.
Gotcha.
Got a few coming in the chat. Essentialism by, I can't pronounce
Greg
it,
McKeown.
Greg McKeown. And The Practice of Groundedness, Brad Stolberg. She says spelling's probably wrong. Lots of fiction recommendations. Lisa Jewell, Rules of Civility by Amor. Another +1 for essentialism. Matt says Company of One, never split the difference, and you are a badass at making money.
Oh, I read that book. That was the first one that got me reading books on money and wealth. Leslie, you read a book or two.
I usually tend to have 2 or 3 going at the same time. Probably not smart, but I can't help it.
What stood out for you in 21? What was like the one that you started telling everybody you've got to read this one?
Oh gosh. I don't even know. I read so many good books, and I'd hand them off to people, and you got to read this, you got to read this, and but I did get the new I don't know how new it is, but Stephen King, because I do love Stephen King, and now that I know that Sissy Spacek narrates Kerry, I'm going to have to listen to that. But Billy Summer, so I'm looking forward to starting that one.
I've read some of his newer stuff is more like true. It's like, well, not true crime, you know what I mean? But it's like true crime style, but it's got that supernatural overlay.
Yeah. Well, King like stuff. The Mr. Mercedes series I read, and that's one of the ones I was telling people, you have to read this. You have to read all of them. Don't just stop with the first one. You got to read them all.
Oh, and I can't believe I forgot The Harpy by Julie Hutchings. We had her on. She's amazing and a lot of fun. She just did the most amazing thing. She's working on the 3rd Harpy book, mostly because I harassed her on Twitter. No, it's not long. That she just raised thousands of dollars and bought presents for foster kids who were otherwise going to get like pretty much nothing for Christmas. She just at the last minute collected up all these tags and wish lists for mostly teenagers who nobody had picked up their wish lists, and brought them just ridiculous gobs of stuff for the holiday. It was amazing. Julie Hutchings. So if you want to support a really cool author, love her.
Get the Harpies.
Yeah, that's more fiction, but I mean, I need to decompress sometimes, and I find that fiction books are a good outlet for that. And I love Stephen King because violence is a really good outlet for the brain,
Oh, I know. I started reading him when I was, 13, 14. The neighbor gave me a Firestarter, a little paperback of Firestarter, and that was it. I was hooked. Read everything.
My first was Salem's Lot. Oh, Mediterranean Diet. Salem's Lot was in that short story book. I'm trying to remember. Night Shift, I think.
Night Shift.
And then, how about you, 2021?
Well, I'm leaving the year with a couple of really great books in hand. One is The Gift, and it's 12 Lessons to Save Your Life. And I don't know how to pronounce the author's name. It's Edith and Eger. And the other one I'm reading is Speed and Scale by John Doerr, because I'm trying to wrap my head around what I can do about climate change and how I can share with others.
I feel like, Bob, I feel like this is the list we need. Books is the list we need. Bob's making a list of our words, and I'm like, the books.
Hey, Naz, good to see you here, buddy. So rolling into 2022, one of the things that I would implore is let's read with our intentions in mind. But the other thing too is one thing I see from a lot of the kind of people that I tend to attract to things like this show. One group of people I tend to attract to this kind of show are real productive people, real go-getter types of people. I mean, you're all very top shelf people. And one thing I think that we do for whatever reason, I don't fully understand, is we punish ourselves by saying we need to do even better, even more, even better, even more. And I would say that it's a very important, I agree about Annette's voice. You ought to see her art. It's also very soothing. And her videos, also very soothing. One thing we need to do is we need to give ourselves just a little bit of permission to be as good as we are on where we are. In Istanbul, I got ridiculously ill there, but otherwise an interesting city.
Let's save that story for another day.
Well, it involves all kinds of things, including anthrax.
Oh, God. So, Chris, Bob, the list we need is books. Not that it's your job.
Yeah, Chris, I agree, because I see this list as a constant reminder, just like you made the comment of hire or serve. It's something I know I do, but, it's just, sometimes you lose track, right? And given the last 4 or 5 years I've been living, sometimes I've had to be a little bit selfish because, all the situations we've been living here on the island and then the pandemic and so forth. So that's where I see it as and one thing I've been seeing is, and, the other day I contacted you about one of those issues, just so you can help me out, is when the year starts and when the year's ending and starting, all of a sudden everybody want to do everything and they want to change everything and stuff like that. And then, that happens for about the 2 or 3 weeks, and then everything just gets set aside to next year, right? So that's what I like about the whole 3 words thing, that it's a constant reminder, but it, just to keep you moving, but you don't have to be set to it, right? Just, this week I've gotten annoyed with, at least 2 or 3 clients where they haven't done anything in 6-7 months. And all of a sudden, like, they want to do everything now, and they, it's just like, and they're not gonna get through 80% of that, right? But it's just like, I need it now, and it's just, and I see it a lot. Like, people have this new year, new me BS, and it's like, if it motivates them to get started, but it's not sustainable, right? So I think that's what's cool. It's kind of like a constant reminder of what you should do. But yeah, I agree with you. Sometimes we're too hard on ourselves,
I'm with you.
Yeah, I had a law school professor like that. He used to tell me, like, we would chat after I graduated sometimes, and he'd say, well, my plan for the next year is to push myself even harder. I'll be getting up at 4 a.m. He ran marathons. He was an appellate lawyer. He taught legal writing at Suffolk Law. I was like, do you ever think about just blowing the whole day watching, like, Star Trek Next Generation or something? Just, like, once in a while. I think it'd be good for you.
I have one question. Why did Constantinople get the works?
What? That's nobody's business.
There we go. All right. Hey, we fit this time in the show.
Oh, and here's our person of the day. Kaboom!
See you, Chip, and I'm glad you did. Thank you. I could have so many different people have this title this time around. But I'm going to give it to our Army friend, Mojo's Army, because, here we were. So thank you for coming along. Great to see you. Thanks for being part of the storyline.
And for suggesting books.
Book suggestions. Now, I'll say there is one book that my Grammy made us read every year, and it was like a kid's book, but she always thought it was like a good parable for growing up and being an adult. And so it's weird. I mean, some people do that already, right? Like a lot of people recommend The Little Prince or the places we shall go. But my Grammy, she would recommend.
Not the one with the centerfold?
Yeah, but you know, not everyone thinks of it that way.